4v4 plus 2. Today I'm going to be talking through primarily is what I use as an introductory activity or an entry activity when players first get there. Effectively it's a Rondo 4v4 plus 2, but there's a few considerations I like to think about when focusing on the player group I have and what kinds of things we want to see out of it. It starts as a 4v4 plus 2, but the nice thing about this kind of Rondo is that you can adjust it for your numbers. If you have 11 players, you can add in an extra neutral, 4v4 plus 3. Let's say you have 9 players, well, maybe you just take out a couple here, and immediately you have a 3v3 plus 3. So there's lots of ways that you can adapt it for the numbers that you have, and you can continually adjust as players get there. If you have more than 10 players or more than 11 players, 4v4 plus 3 is about the biggest I would go with this. You could do 4v4 plus 4, but at that point I might split, once we get to 12 and go 2v2 plus 2 and have 2 grids. A couple of really easy things about it is you don't need any equipment. Let's say traffic was bad, you get there late, all you need is 4 cones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4v4 plus 2, boom, 3, 2, 1, go. Really easy for players to jump in and get something out of this because it maintains, opponents. We have some direction, we have some consequence. Some considerations I like to think about when doing these, and depending on your specific player group and what you want to get out of it, could differ. The first thing I like to think about is what kind of space do we want to have? Do we want to make it really narrow? Do we want to challenge players to play through? Do we want to make it deeper? Do we want to try to get players looking for more long ball opportunities? What specific kind of technical focus might we want to get out of it? And depending on your spacing, that will make a big difference. For example, yesterday with my group, we did 4v4 plus 2, and I made it a little bit bigger than I typically would have, and it was great for getting a bit of conditioning right at the start. There was a lot of movement, a lot of running off the ball, and defenders were having to track. Great for conditioning if you make your space a little bit bigger. Second thing, positional. If you want to think about helping players think about making triangles, creating space, and where they want to be relative to one another, positional focus is good. The way this one is set up right here, our attacking unit, these 4 are positioned relative to that kind of grid or that kind of positional diagonal that we might see. Let's say you have your goalkeeper, you have your 9, you have your outside backs, you have your wings. Maybe you want to add in, if you have a kind of variates 4v4 plus 3, you can add in that 6 or that 8. But maintaining that kind of positional focus gives players that chance to kind of see what it might look like to be in that good shape. And so for the positional focus, I would probably say, hey, when the defenders win the ball, you play it to the neutral and you guys get to your positions, and can we have that good transition piece? Depending on what you want to get out of it positionally. Otherwise, you can just kind of keep it open and they can kind of go where they are. And depending on the group you have, both can be effective depending on what you want to see out of it. The next one I like to think about is directional. I really encourage whatever variation you use to make a directional. Points are scored for us by going from one end to the next. So if orange wins the ball, if they can play the ball to the high neutral, maintain possession, and get the ball to the opposite side neutral, that scores a point. So maintaining that direction, we're invading one space while defending another space, helps keep it more alive. Compact. We did one, a variation we did at the end of ours yesterday was I added a cone halfway line. And for the point to score, we maintain that directional focus. For the point to score, once this neutral had possession of the ball, before they could transition to the opposite side, everybody had to be in the attacking half. So once this player had the ball, everybody had to be in the attacking half before we could transition across. Once we had possession and orange was able to get the ball to this neutral, everybody had to be onto this half again. And that really added a nice component of not only conditioning, but making sure they stayed compact. Everybody was responsible for staying connected to their team. And last, this is one I like to do if I want to try to get a little bit of slow, fast variance, especially for those higher level players. For this, I would either say the neutrals or the in-attack players could play one touch. So with this, there is a requisite, if you have your neutral players only have one touch, the attacking players know that if they play to that neutral, someone, whether it's that third man, whether it's the player who played the ball, is going to have to be available immediately because that player is going to have to play the one touch. They can't hold it, they're going to have to play. So who is going to have to hold the ball a little bit longer typically? The inside attackers. Conversely, if you wanted to make it more where the inside players had to be a little quicker, these players have unlimited touches, and I would also maybe say cannot be pressured. But then with these having one touch, these players are the outlets: slow, fast, slow, fast, slow. So having that change of tempo, building in various restrictions for those higher level players, adding a bit of complexity helps to give them different looks at game-like situations. So the 4v4+2, great introductory activity, lots of outcomes that you can get from it depending on your considerations, what kinds of players you have, and what things you want to get out of that session. Highly recommend 4v4+2.